Good morning. It's good to be back. Please stand. Join me for number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by your care.
Good morning. I'm Richard Steele, today's lay leader. I welcome all to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane. And that includes, of course, all of those who are here with us today in the sanctuary, as well as remote attendees who have joined via our streaming technology to watch the service, and those who are using Zoom to participate interactively from locations around North America and beyond. We are glad that each of you is with us here. Today, we have a guest speaker, the Honorable Judge George Fearing of Washington State's Court of Appeals, Division III. Judge Fearing was first appointed to the court in 2013, and since then has been reelected 3 times. Before that, he worked for 31 years as a civil litigator in Washington's Tri-Cities, while also serving as a trustee on the Interfaith Freedom of Conscience organization, which advocates for separation of church and state. In that role, he authored a timeline of critical events in American history concerning religious liberty and separation of church and state. In 2023, the Washington State Access to Justice Board bestowed on him the Access to Justice Leadership Award, following numerous dissents he had written, including one concerning the need to eradicate all restrictive property covenants from auditor records, and another that decried the conviction of an African-American man for resisting arrest despite the man suffering a beating from the Spokane County Sheriff's deputies. As a result of the last dissent, the Spokane County prosecutor sought to remove George from hearing any appeals in Spokane County criminal cases. Those efforts, I note, were ultimately abandoned by the prosecutor as unlikely to meet with success. Today's speaker is a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but frequently, as today, he attends services in our church with his wife, Marina Ladich, and he's speaking today on Christian nationalism in the United States. Please join me in giving Judge Fearing a warm welcome. And I will also mention that Judge Fearing indicated he will stick around up here and in the sanctuary to answer any questions you may have afterwards. Whether you are today with us in the sanctuary or watching from afar, it is here that we join to create a nourishing religious home with a mission to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in the wider world. Or, as we say more concisely, to create community, find meaning, and live justly or work for justice. Now, please take a few moments and greet one another. So you're planning on retiring next year, are you?
I'm ready to retire now. What I do
Marina is a force of nature. She's a treasure. So, do you have, when you're actually sitting on the bench, what's your schedule like?
my schedule is very
We turn now from our informal greetings to formally begin our service by lighting our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and individuality. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in the world and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth, wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt where it has been found. For our opening reflection, I offer the words of Professor Erwin Chemerinsky, Dean of the UC Berkeley School of Law, President of the Association of American Law Schools, leading scholar on U.S. constitutional law, and author of many books. The following is from his 2018 book, We the People, a progressive reading of the Constitution for the 21st century. I predict and worry that some of the greatest changes in constitutional law will come in the area of the religious clauses of the First Amendment. It is an area of enormous disagreement between progressives and conservatives. Progressives favor a separation of church and state. Conservatives reject this and favor allowing more religious presence in government and more government aid to religion. Conservatives favor protecting free exercise of religion, even when it means denying others benefits or permitting discrimination. Progressives reject this. Progressives must continue to defend a separation of church and state and continue to argue that people should not be able to inflict injuries on others in exercising their religious freedom.
Please stand, join me for Spirit of Life, number 123. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our hearts and minds, and whom we want to wrap in our love and care. We light a candle for them this morning. We light a candle for the people of Ukraine who are fighting and dying to protect their homeland against the Russian war of aggression. And we mourn all the innocent victims of violence in the Mideast, whether in the Gaza Strip, across the West Bank, in the Israeli state, in Lebanon, or in countries beyond. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here in our hearts. You are welcome to say their names, those named aloud and those remembered in silence. We hold in our community of compassion. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger world.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. And the dreams that we dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't
Thank you for that song. It really sets the stage for our story this morning. I would like to invite any children to come down and hear our story, but I'd really like the grown-ups to pay special attention to this morning's message too. Well, we have been having a great summer of Play Club, but the end of summer is drawing near, and Children's Chapel resumes on September 8th. I would love some more adult volunteers to be with the children and me on Sunday mornings. So today I have a story about what it's like to be a Children's Chapel volunteer. Once upon a time, in the enchanted land of Everwood, there was a place known as the Giving Grove. This grove was not filled with ordinary trees, but with whispering willows and talking toadstools, where fairies flitted about and animals worked and played alongside one another. In Everwood, the woodland creatures gathered each week under the guidance of Elder Owl, who was as wise as she was old. However, Elder Owl noticed that many of the young critters were growing up without learning the lessons of the community. So Elder Owl called for volunteers among the adult creatures to help run the Children's Chapel in the Giving Grove. She needed their wisdom and time to guide the young ones. Among the first to volunteer was Mrs. Squirrel, a sprightly creature with an endless supply of energy. She thought she would just be helping to keep the young ones busy, but as she led them through the grove, listening to the willows whisper tales of generosity and the toadstools teach lessons of patience, Mrs. Squirrel found her own spirits uplifted in ways she never expected. Then there was Mr. Badger, a gruff but kind-hearted soul who joined because his own kits had grown and the grove seemed quieter without their laughter. As he watched the young creature's eyes widen with wonders at the stories the grove shared, Mr. Badger's old heart felt a joy it hadn't known in years, and he remembered the magic of his younger days. With each passing week, more of the woodland creatures offered their time. They came thinking of duty, but they stayed for the delight. They discovered that the Giving Grove was not just a place for the young to learn, but a magical space where everyone, young and old, rediscovered the joys of community and the warmth of shared stories. One magical evening, as the stars twinkled like tiny lanterns above, a circle of volunteers gathered around the great elm, the heart of the Giving Grove. A gentle wind carried the laughter of the young ones, playing hide-and-seek with the fairies, and in that moment, the volunteers, Mrs. Squirrel, Mr. Badger, and many others, heard the true voice of the grove. It spoke of the deep joy found in giving and sharing, and how each moment of learning echoed like the sweetest melody through the intertwined branches of Everwood. So now, the question lingers, drifting on the gentle breeze from Everwood. Who among you will join the magical gatherings in the Giving Grove? There are tales yet to be told and wonders yet to be discovered by the young and the young at heart. Please consider sharing your time and wisdom as a Children's Chapel volunteer this school year. You can volunteer as often or as little as your schedule allows, and there's nothing you need to prepare in advance. If you're willing to say yes, or if you have any questions, please speak with me after the service or email me on the address at the back of your program. And now join me in singing our children out to our second to last Sunday of Play Club.
As we prepare for meditation, I invite you to find a comfortable position, breathe deeply, and reflect on these words of Jim Wallace, American theologian, head of Georgetown University's Center on Faith and Justice, and founder and editor of Sojourners magazine. Let nobody give you the impression that the problem of racial justice will work itself out. Let nobody give you the impression that only time will solve the problem. Somewhere we must come to see that human progress never rolls in on wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and persistent work of dedicated individuals. Without this hard work, time becomes the ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. So we must help time and realize that the time is always right to do right.
Just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I have squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises. All lies and jest, still a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. When I left my home and my family, I was no more than a boy in the company of strangers, in the quiet of a railway station, running scared, laying low, seeking out the poorer quarters where the ragged people go, looking for the places only they would know. Asking only workmen's wages, I get looking for a job, but I get no offers. Just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue. I do declare there were times when I was so lonesome I took some comfort there. La 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 la. Then I'm laying out my winter clothes and wishing I was gone, going home, where the New York City winters aren't bleeding me, leading me, going home. fighter by his trade, and he carries the reminders of every glove that laid him down or cut him till he cried out in his anger and his shame, I am leaving, but the fighter still remains, still remains. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la,
Good morning. When your church's guest speaker coordinator, Marina Ladich, who I affectionately refer to as my wife and sweetheart, told me I would be speaking on Christian nationalism this week, she added that I was afforded 20 minutes to speak. I replied, "Wonderful. 20 minutes is all that is needed to comprehensively and intelligently cover this important, polarizing subject constantly in today's news." Please know that as a sitting judge, I must not and will not, during the presentation, advocate for any political party or any political candidate. I intend to summarize the views promoted by Christian nationalism, mention some of its history, place it in today's events, and critique its ideology. I will scrutinize whether the founding persons of America intended the United States to be a Christian nation. Christian nationalism is not a monolith. The philosophy lacks a creed or one controlling organization. Christian nationalism possesses a spectrum of beliefs, some moderate, some extreme. American Christian nationalism proclaims the United States of America as superior to all other countries, and God divined this superiority. God, through the founding fathers, supernaturally wrote the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. The federal government should declare the United States a Christian nation. God has called Christians to exercise dominion over all areas of American culture and society, not just government. Separation between church and state is a fiction. The First Amendment grants freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Christian nationalism demands favoritism from the government through financial assistance and programs that advance Christianity. Christian nationalism reserves the prerogative to define who is a Christian. The ideology typically promotes Anglo-Protestantism. White Americans should be proud, not contrite. Anglo-Saxon Christians brought civilization to the world and founded the greatest nation on earth. The only immigrants permitted into America should be white Christians. And I notice my Native American friend here, and that must seem very odd when we actually all are the immigrants to the United States. Christian nationalists praise Trump's wall as excluding the enemy, which includes Muslims, Mexican migrants, filthy gays, and Catholics led astray by Satan. A non-Christian who already lives in the United States may remain here, but he or she must understand that Christians will govern. Christian nationalism declares, "We Christians outnumber you, and we will not bow to your secular and ungodly agenda. We are taking back schools, government, and society." A historic hatred for Catholicism is softening. Christian nationalism exhibits a split personality about Judaism. Some Christian nationalists insist God intends Jews to occupy Palestine in the last days of earth, and they advocate for the United States to provide Israel financial assistance, including to its military. Still, anti-Semitic tropes litter Christian nationalism literature. God is masculine. A woman must be submissive to her husband. Every person is a male or female. There is no in-between. Reassignment of one's birth gender is an abomination to God. Homosexuality is evil. Patriotism, heroism, faith, and unity are virtues of the ideology. Only Christians are true Americans. Focusing on the sins of America's past is unpatriotic. Christian nationalism relishes symbols. It desires the plastering of the Ten Commandments, the cross, nativity scenes, and Christian mottos in courts, government offices, and public schools. Adherence to Christian nationalism correlates to distrust of science and animosity to a liberal education. Universities teach evolution, indoctrinate young impressionable minds with anti-white history, and promote other religions and cultures. Christian identity blends with economic prosperity. The poor and vulnerable are unworthy. As the United States becomes more secular, Christian nationalists fear becoming a minority that can no longer win elections. Never mind that Christianity is the largest religion in the world, and 63% of Americans claim Christianity. The unseen world is real, vast, and powerful. In this concealed spiritual realm, a massive battle rages between God, good, and angels on the one hand, and Lucifer, evil, and fallen angels on the other hand. Christian nationalists are soldiers in this epic universal struggle. Lucifer's demons not only attack people, but also take control of institutions. Demons have planted themselves in the deep state in order to advance reproductive and LGBTQ rights and tolerance for non-Christian religions. America has fallen into wickedness, and it needs cleansing. Our nation, like ancient Israel before it, has broken its special covenant with God and suffers decline as a result. Never mind that the USA continues to be the wealthiest and most militarily powerful nation on earth. Christian nationalism willingly elects impious heads of state if they support right-wing causes. Evangelical leaders adjudge Donald Trump as moral and the instrument of God. Trump will return Christianity to its deserved power. A core principle of Christian nationalism is that the nation's founders founded America to be a Christian nation and desire our laws to be based on the Ten Commandments and the Bible. This belief is a myth. The Declaration of Independence declares that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and notice that it doesn't limit the men to Christian men. The Declaration proclaims that Americans are entitled to be an independent nation by the laws of nature and nature's God. The Declaration appeals to the Supreme Judge of the world and asks for protection of divine providence. These passages from the Declaration refer to a Creator, a God, a Supreme Judge, and a divine providence. References not exclusive to Christianity. These passages can also apply to Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and Native American religions. The Declaration of Independence does not mention Christ or Christianity. The United States Constitution does not mention God, Jesus, Christianity, the Bible, or the Ten Commandments. The U.S. Constitution represented the first time in history that a nation created a governing document that did not refer to a deity. The Constitution does not direct Congress or the courts to base American law on the Bible. Most of the Constitutional Convention delegates adhered to Christianity, but were nominal members of traditional churches. Prominent founding fathers were deists. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Adams, and Alexander Hamilton. Deism held that God created the world with physical laws and then allowed the world to function on its own. The Christianity of Christian nationalism believes God constantly intervenes in history. Christian nationalism proclaims George Washington's farewell speech and a letter written by Thomas Jefferson as confirmation that America was intended to be a Christian nation. Both men commented on religion and morality being indispensable supports to political prosperity. But the comments concerned religion in general. Neither mentioned Christianity or suggested Christianity was the state religion. James Madison drafted both the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which includes the First Amendment. In 1785, 2 years before the Constitutional Convention, James Madison penned the Memorial and Remonstrance. Madison wrote to urge the state of Virginia to reject legislation which would financially support the propagation of Christianity as the state's religion. Listen to some of Madison's remarkable words. Churches should remain separate from the state because government's embrace of religion inevitably harms religion. When European rulers imposed Christianity in their realms, the clergy of the established church became prideful, indolent, and tyrannical. The laity became ignorant and servile, and society grew superstitious and bigoted. Madison noted that torrents of blood had been spilled in the old world by vain attempts of the secular arm to extinguish religious heresy. In 1797, the United States entered the Treaty of Tripoli with the nation of Algiers. Founding Father, Constitution Convention delegate, and then President of the United States, John Adams, signed the treaty. The Tripoli Treaty denied the United States to be a Christian nation. This language served to encourage Algiers, a Muslim nation, to enter the treaty. Slavery prompted the commencement of Christian nationalism in the United States. Southerners used biblical passages to assert that enslaved Africans were not human. In contrast to the United States Constitution, the Constitution of the Confederate States of America declared the short-lived nation to be a Christian nation. That's important to me. During the Civil War, the South commented in the religious and secular press that its acknowledgement of religious dependence distinguished it from the godless government of the North that ignored God in its constitution and put secular concerns above the sacred duties of Christian service. Apparently, God was confused. He allowed the North to win. After the Civil War, the Ku Klux Klan used violence to promote white Christian nationalism. The KKK employed white robes and burning crosses, symbols of Christianity. Jerry Falwell molded the present-day Christian nationalism movement in the late 1970s. In his book, Listen America, Falwell warned that America's sins were causing a decline in God's favor and the greatness of our nation. Those sins include drugs, abortion, pornography, absence of school prayer, rock and roll, the Equal Rights Amendment, and the homosexual revolution. Falwell blamed every natural disaster on abortion, feminism, and homosexuality. He never mentioned the sins of racism, unequal distribution of wealth, warmongering, and environmental contamination. He and his gaggle no longer explicitly mentioned white supremacy, but appealed to this form of supremacy by coded terms such as our heritage, family values, and patriotism. Some who today adhere to Christian nationalism agenda shun the term Christian nationalism as an invention of the liberal press as a means of attacking conservative values. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley proudly wears the label Christian nationalist. According to Hawley, Christian nationalism is love, the love of life, the love of child, God, neighbor, and home. Christian nationalism is not a threat to American democracy. Christianity founded American democracy and remains its foundation. According to Hawley, religious liberty does not unite America, religion unites America. Each American will lead a fulfilling life only by joining others in the nation's common Christian religion. House Speaker Mike Johnson flies outside his office the Appeal to Heaven flag, a symbol of Christian nationalism. It is also the flag that Justice Samuel Alito, or perhaps his wife, flew at the vacation home. On the campaign trail this month, Donald Trump proclaimed love for all Christians, told Christians to vote in November, and promised Christians they will not need to vote again when he wins in November. Christian nationalism jeopardizes voting rights, racial equality, civic justice, multiculturalism, religious freedom, and democracy. Christian nationalism organizations actively seek to purge the voter rolls of thousands of names, particularly in swing states. The white-dominated Georgia legislature made it illegal to provide drinks and snacks to people standing in line to vote. Of course, the longest lines are in communities of color. A logical culmination of Christian nationalism was the January 6 United States Capitol attack. The insurrectionists carried the Christian flag, the Confederate flag, the Christian cross, and signs that read, "Jesus saves." Christian music was played. The United States Supreme Court is following a Christian nationalism agenda. The court overturned Roe v. Wade. The court exempted houses of worship from COVID-related public health laws that applied to everyone else. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote in one of the decisions that COVID restrictions emerged from a place of profound hostility to people of faith. The Supreme Court ruled that public money could fund private religious education and that a high school football coach may conduct Christian prayers with players on the 50-yard line during and after football games. Many Christian churches shun Christian nationalism. The Unitarian Church should be proud of its history in supporting separation of church and state. I'm also proud of my church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, for advocating separation of church and state. My study of Christian nationalism has disturbed, if not tormented me. The Christian nationalism belief system is an ideological cocktail of hate, bullying, vengeance, violence, grievance, misogyny, paranoia, and self-exculpatory rage. Many who adhere to the philosophy should be pitied and approached with patience and kindness because they do so out of ignorance and fear. Unfortunately, the leaders of the movement are destroying not only America, but Christianity, while they seek fame, money, and power by manipulation of gullible people. Regardless of whether you believe in a God or whether you believe Christ existed, Jesus' teaching and storied life are compelling. Jesus was a pacifist. He promoted forgiveness, unselfishness, humility, tolerance, and sacrifice. Jesus Christ invited others, not ordered others, to follow him. Christ did not seek political power. He did not direct his followers to seek political power. Christ's message is a means of liberation from hatred, pride, and greed, not a means of domination over others. Other great religions preach these same values. In the Sermon on the Mount, Christ declared, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." Today, as every day, I choose the Christianity of Christ. I choose the Christianity of Christ, not the idolatrous philosophy of Christian nationalism.
Please stand. Join me for number 169, We Shall Overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
For our benediction, I offer the words of political theorist and founding father Thomas Paine, writing in his pamphlet, The Age of Reason. Persecution is not an original feature in any religion, but it is always the strongly marked feature of all religions established by law. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Shalom Chavarim, Shalom Chavarim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.